Some mysteries refuse to be forgotten. Some legends never fade. And some conspiracies demand to be uncovered. This is Codename Unknown. Mysteries, conspiracies, and legends. Where expert investigator and host Jackson Wolf dives deep into history's most perplexing enigmas, chilling folklore, and secretive cover-ups. Each week, he pushes the boundaries of what we know, uncovering hidden truths and questioning the stories we've been told. The search for answers begins now. Open your mind, question everything, and step into the shadows.
Welcome to Codename Unknown. I am Jackson Wolf, your guide down the lanes where asphalt strays into the uncanny. Tonight's journey is the Vanishing Point, the road that leads nowhere but takes you back changed. We will map a phenomenon whispered in truck stops and folklore alike, where travelers report loops, missing time, shifting horizons, and destinations that recede like mirages. I will weigh legends against instruments and questions against claims, inviting you to keep curiosity awake and certainties gently provisional through this episode. When people speak of vanishing roads, they describe routes that fracture expectation. The markings are clear, yet distance rubber bands. Landmarks appear twice. Watches disagree with dashboards. A hill crests into the same farm gate you passed 20 minutes earlier, though the gas gauge insists you moved. Often travelers return feeling altered, senses sharpened, or dreams invaded by roadways' texture and light. Whether we call this portals, psyops, or illusions, we are studying a feedback loop between environment, technology, and nervous system dynamics. Across cultures, roads are social contracts with the unseen. In Celtic lore, fairy paths cut straight lines across hill and hedge. To build across them invites night knocks, lights, and livestock gone awry. In Japan and Korea, ghost roads are ritually avoided on nights, their corners salted or mirrored to repel spirits. Many indigenous traditions map spirit ways alongside travel routes, marked with offerings, carved faces, or tabooed trees. These motifs frame experience in advance, priming expectation and governing which anomalies are remembered. Scotland's A75, especially the Kinmont Strait, is a cornerstone case. Since the 1950s, motorists have reported spectral coaches, flocks of birds that pass through windshields, and a vanishing couple leading a horse. One lorry driver braked for a man carrying sacks, then found nothing on the road and no dent on inspection. What gives this case weight is repetition along a specific stretch, with independent witnesses describing similar choreography. Yet accident data there is unremarkable, hinting at perception, folklore, and monotony amplifying one another. In New Jersey, Clinton Road's notoriety is layered. Phantom headlights, a ghost boy at a bridge, druidic meetings, and odd creatures glimpsed near the reservoir. Much is rumor fertilized by isolation and a crooked, poorly lit geometry. Verifiable incidents tend toward ordinary mischief, car clubs, or wildlife. Still, drivers report being paced by silent trucks or lights that vanish when pursued. Here we see legend-shaping perception. You arrive primed for menace. Every deer a messenger, every curve a threshold, every taillight an omen. Then there are gravity hills, where cars appear to roll uphill in neutral and bottled water flows the wrong way. The explanation is largely visual. The local horizon is tilted by surrounding slopes and trees, so your brain misreads level and incline. Survey instruments and laser levels reveal the genuine grade. These sites are invaluable teachers. They show how quickly context overrides sensation and how a road can feel enchanted without breaking physics. That lesson echoes through more dramatic cases we will examine. Nevada's State Route 375, the extraterrestrial highway, edges restricted airspace and secrecy's heartbeat. Drivers describe hovering lights, abrupt direction changes, and strange telemetry on consumer devices. Here we must separate legend from test range realities. NOTAMs and FAA advisories sometimes flag GPS interference. Military exercises can include jamming, spoofing, and high-altitude platforms. Black Project aircraft, flares, and drones explain many sightings, though not all behavior neatly fits public knowledge. The highway's mythology persists because ambiguity is engineered into the landscape and the sky. Resurrection roads turn a bend into a seance. Archer Avenue near Chicago and Belait Drive in Manila host recurring hitchhiker tales. A pale passenger taken home vanishes at the cemetery gates or leaves a damp seat and a name that matches a grave. Narrative patterns repeat across continents, often anchored to a fatal accident or a protective warning to young drivers. Whether apparition or parable, the story functions as traffic calming, grief ritual, and memory architecture, etching danger into place through repetition itself. Maps generate mysteries of their own. Cartographers once planted paper towns to detect plagiarism, inventing hamlets that later gained ghostly reputations when seekers found only fields. Digital maps introduce phantom roads from outdated surveys or misaligned datasets, sending drivers onto gated service tracks or seasonal logging spurs. When navigation reroutes repeatedly or insists a bridge exists, frustration blends with unease. A wrong turn at dusk becomes an omen. Our confidence in invisible lines makes us vulnerable to database ghosts and their very real detours. Some strangeness is engineered, GPS signals are weak and easily perturbed. During military tests, jamming or spoofing can shift your position, drop satellites, or even mirror speed and direction. Maritime alerts sometimes bleed inland. Cellular networks can introduce time drift if your device hops towers with mismatched timing. And in mainland China, the GCJ02 coordinate system offsets civilian map data by design, creating apparent dislocations between satellite imagery and vector roads. To a driver at night, these invisible policies feel like reality bending. Environment shapes perception in quieter ways. Fault lines can produce micro-tremors and faint earth lights from piezoelectric stress, especially in quartz-rich rock. Infrasound from wind over passes, waterfalls, or distant machinery hovers below. Hearing yet agitates the body, amplifying unease. Temperature inversions bend headlights and radio. Magnetic anomalies seldom influence cars but can nudge analog compasses. None of this conjures phantoms, yet together they load the scene with ambiguity, and a mind primed by story supplies the figure to match perfectly. Brains are predictive engines. On long night drives, road hypnosis narrows attention until signs blur and microsleep stitch gaps you do not notice. Expectation effects are powerful. If a curve is reputedly haunted, your threshold for anomaly lowers, and ambiguous stimuli collapse into the legend shape. In groups, narratives converge through subtle leading questions and performative agreement. Afterward, memory reconsolidation sands off contradictions. The result feels like shared certainty. That sensation is honest but not a proof. It demands instruments, controls, and patience. Cursed roads often correlate with design and data. Sharp radius curves, poor drainage, variable speed limits, and inconsistent signage create accident clusters that become legend. Wildlife corridors intersecting high-speed lanes spike collisions seasonally. Weather gradients near lakes or ridgelines drop fog without warning. Even datasets mislead. A stretch may seem deadly because incidents concentrate at a reporting milepost rather than the exact scene. When communities name a curse, they sometimes unlock funding for safety fixes, which then reduce both crashes and hauntings. Time slips are trickier. True clock anomalies would be revolutionary, yet many reports trace to mundane desynchronization. Cars juggle GPS time, network time, and internal clocks. A satellite drop or tower handoff can hiccup minutes. Crossing time zones on crooked borders or passing a radio-controlled clock near a transmitter can produce odd snapshots. In aviation, we scrutinize source discipline for exactly this reason. Still, some witness narratives show missing time without obvious technical cause, and those deserve methodical, gentle investigation and documentation. Could some vanishing points be deliberate cover? It is plausible that agencies prefer legends to flourish around corridors that support sensitive logistics, training routes, or covert infrastructure. A spooky reputation deters hikers, distracts journalists, and floods searches with noise. PSYOPs need not fabricate ghosts, they simply cultivate ambiguity, then let rumor run. Yet extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. Without documents, replicated measurements, or insider testimony, the conspiratorial lens remains a hypothesis alongside others, useful only if it guides safer, sharper fieldwork and transparency. For investigators, a simple toolkit helps. Run a dashcam with GPS overlay and sync it to an external time source like a radio clock. Carry a second independent logger plus a barometer, thermometer, and a phone magnetometer or EMF app for relative change, not absolutes. Note wind, humidity, moon phase, and traffic density. Pull NOTAMs and GPS interference advisories before and after. Map your route with paper backup. Bring companions, rotate drivers, and document expectations beforehand to reduce contamination from suggestion and post-review. Red flags for hoaxes are familiar. Beware recycled photos with mismatched weather, EXIF dates that predate the legend, single-source screenshots, or coordinates that point to private yards. Look for edits that hide license plates but also obscure context. Treat anonymous composites as art, not evidence. Ethically, respect closures, private land, and resident sleep. Avoid staging hazards for clicks. If a route is genuinely risky, coordinate with locals about traffic, wildlife, and weather. The goal is illumination without exploitation or harm or panic. Stories evolve like roads. A campfire tale becomes a forum thread, then a map pin, then a weekend pilgrimage with dashcams rolling. Are these roads thinning the veil, exposing failures in maps and minds, or both? Tonight we traced ferry paths, the A75, Clinton Road, Gravity Hills, the extraterrestrial highway, hitchhikers, mapping ghosts, and real signal meddling. If you have coordinates, clips, or logs, send them with timestamps, weather, and witness notes. Until next time, travel curious, skeptical, and safe on the road.
You've been listening to Codename Unknown, Mysteries, Conspiracies, and Legends. The search for answers never stops, and the truth is always waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed the journey, subscribe to us, and don't miss what's next. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning everything.